Hey everybody. It's Friday. It's another overcast day. That's kind of crap, I should say. Um, Today has just been kind of a slow, not super productive day. I've got a lot of little things going on. I have to send some stuff to my cover artist, Sean Carlson, and get him on board with that. Um, and then I just task after task of um, stuff. Um, I'm talking to Mal Cooper, who is a near and dear friend, who is just providing me an uncanny amount of sagely advice, which has been awesome. Um, you kind of find like your tribe of just the people who are willing to give back, and you help when you can, and it's just kind of a nice like tight knit community of folks that really just want to help each other succeed, which has been awesome. So, huge shout out to Mal Cooper and Jill Cooper because they've been doing that quite a bit lately for me. Um, um, so today I'm actually going to be working on the third book in my superhero series, third book in my World War II psychic whatever series. I'm getting some really great feedback from um, this awesome person, Chris Kane, who is actually giving me some really cool feedback on cover design as far as alternative history goes. And that's been kind of just fascinating. Like we're literally talking about the science of book covers. Um, um, Mal Cooper's talking about some of her fight sequences and how it's very Dragon Ball Z esque. Um, I don't really. Oh, I can show you my cover. This is going to be. Let's. So here's kind of what I'm doing right now. You're going to get a little sneak peek at stuff. So I'm sending my artist this lookbook, and it's just a little bit of an idea of here's the premise for the books. I can't really stay there because it'll give away too much of my story. Shh. And then here's like the main characters that they could draw from to use for the covers. Here's some potential artwork concepts. Nothing's really solidified because I have to wait for the cover art to really make all these decisions. And then looking at urban fantasy covers because I am writing a more urban fantasy esque book, even though it's in my superhero universe, by the definitions of tropes of a woman coming into her own and um, uh, psychics and a little bit of romance in an urban setting. It kind of falls under urban fantasy. But that's been kind of the cool conversation I've been having with Chris Kane is suggesting that maybe you should look into some alternative history as well. So I'm definitely going to do that because I kind of dig that idea. And the book is alternative history. It does deviate from our known history. which is kind of cool, I think, because you kind of get to rewrite the universe. And then these are some of the images that I've been using to kind of help give an idea of what I want my heroine to look like. I really just love the hair of the 1940s. Women, the things you do for beauty just astound me. And then the leather jacket plays a big role in the story. So this is what I'm putting together to give to my artist. Oh, look, there's other people here. So I've been using that for kind of my my inspiration for my artist. So we'll see if that pans out, I guess. Look at who
I
it
love
is.
collecting stuff for illustration. That's like the most fun process.
You did something way fancier than me. I just have a very cluttered Pinterest board. Like, that's it. Like, yours is so fancy. I'm like, oh my God. I feel like I'm not, I don't know. I'm coveting it. It's so pretty.
Essentially, so my first books don't follow like the superhero trope or the superhero genre. I don't feel has a standard. So like my books are illustrations. Trisha's, yours are 3D model renders. And Franklin, what are yours?
Mine are like the backdrop is always like a real location, like mashed together with like I consolidate the buildings in Photoshop. And then I've done like a silhouette with like atmosphere behind them.
Oh, because you kind of almost have the silhouette character on yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think illustration, 3D render, photo manip. I think if we invited 4 more authors, we would have 4 more versions.
Yeah, because I know there's some that do the like 3D mod, like the characters are like custom 3D like manipulated maquettes or whatever.
Trish, do you know what your artist uses for?
No, but he, I don't, but he got, right before I relaunched everything, he got a photorealism program. And he had never really worked with it before. So he, as far as I know, and if he watches this, he probably is going to correct the shit out of me. Sorry, Todd. And so he played with it. And honestly, I wanted something more urban fantasy like, but not with like a, the urban fantasy ones that's basically like a photograph of an actual model that they just kind of manipulate with effects and everything. And I wanted something similar, but I didn't want a photograph because I can't find anything that I like. So he just, it is a 3D model. It's like and he plays with it. He puts different skins on them and stuff like that. So
I realize, hold on. So here are some of the top performing. And real people, illustration, though this might be illustration over an actual model. Real person, real person, real person, real person, real person. 3D model, I think.
Yeah.
But then, of course, my favorite 2 are Crescent City, which that's just beautiful.
Yeah.
And I really like this one because it's beautifully framed. And then I noticed Kim Harrison, it might be stock photos, but it's super stylized.
Hers are, so I will say Crescent City, not urban fantasy. Sarah Moss.
Really?
Sarah Moss is not an urban fantasy author. Sorry, Sarah Moss fans. She's high fantasy. And go ahead and fight me on that, but she is. Having read her books, and in particular, the one that you showed that was red with kind of like half of a back of a woman with like black feathers, that's epic fantasy. Seriously, it's beautiful. That trilogy is my comfort food. It is gorgeous. It's not urban fantasy. Crescent City, not urban fantasy.
I didn't even realize that was the same author.
Yeah, same author. Crescent City is high fantasy. Her other series, Throne of Glass, high fantasy. But what's interesting is that Throne of Glass is the only one where it looks like she might have used a real model and then done some kind of photo like paint manipulation on top of it to alter the look of the person. Urban fantasy covers, to me, they all look alike. Again, sorry, urban fantasy authors.
Flowy text with like extra curls.
And the same damn model. I can't even tell you, there's 3 different series that I've seen. Same model, same pose.
So I was talking to Mal Cooper, and I made the suggestion for looking up Faye Stock, who is one of my favorite stock photographers, because she comes up with some really cool stuff. But she goes into bookstores and she walks through the fantasy section or the steampunk section, and she takes photos of her with the books that use her as a stock image.
Oh my God.
And she pulled off 2 books that were side by side, and they had identical stock photos of 2 books that were side by side. So
different series, right? Different series.
And there's if I see that dark-haired model wearing the leather jacket and skin-tight jeans, holding the sword, gun, whatever.
Ball of whatever energy. Yeah.
Yeah. I hope she's making bank, because she must be on hundreds of books.
Yeah. But and I like urban fantasy. Okay, don't get me wrong. Urban fantasy books, like them. I really do. I'm sick of seeing the same covers over and over again, though. If the cover is your first calling card to a reader, then me as a reader, I am so not interested, because what I'm seeing is the same exact pretty much covers. So my brain is saying, oh, it's another one of these kind of books. It's another one of these kind of books. It's just, I feel almost like that bubble has got to burst at some point, and we have to get something different, which is why I agree with you, Jeremy, about the Harley Merlin series, which I have read, not all of it, because there's like 14 books in that series. I love the covers because it still says YA urban fantasy to me, but it's different enough. The silhouettes, and because it is very much there's Harley as the main character, but then there's like the team of people with her. And they very clearly show that on the cover, and I love it. And at some point, there is one series where I'm like, I'm totally going to steal that, because it conveys this idea that it's about more than just one person. You've got a team of people, but still urban fantasy like, because you can tell they're in like regular clothes. It's not,
So someone just suggested this lovely human, Chris Kane, that's in our Discord, was making the suggestion of looking up alternative history as not necessarily a primary genre, but a secondary genre, because it takes place in World War II. And it's easier to rank there. The problem is, I just went and looked at the alternative history, and wow, it's kind of like superheroes.
It is.
In alternative history, there should not be spaceships on the cover.
How do they find this? Like, how do these writers find these genres to just like keyword their stuff? Like, how do they have like a program? Are they using like whatever, Kindle Rocket or whatever it is?
Yeah,
just be like,
Publisher Rocket.
Publisher Rocket, absolutely. Because I went in when I first published my trilogy, because it is alternate history, straight up.
Yeah.
I went in, I was like, okay, I'll go there. And I'm looking at the category and I'm like, what the hell is this? It's such a mishmash. People just dump their stuff in there. I shouldn't say their shit, because it's not shit. Sorry, authors. Can you tell I am like needing my coffee this morning?
But it felt very much like I saw it, and I just wanted to be like, sorry, alternative history writers, I understand your pain.
Right? Because there are some great alt history fantasies and steampunk. Steampunk, I think across the board, probably fits the best into alt history, because most of it is alternate Elizabethan, Victorian, Civil War. But yeah, it feels like it's superhero genre all over again. It's a dumping ground.
So she had me look up Mary Robinette Kowal.
Oh yeah.
And there's this, I'm infatuated with this cover right now, called Ghost Talkers. And it's a woman, she's holding her collar, leaned back, kind of looking up into the air. And then there's like almost like a soldier on his knees, like he's fallen in front of her. And it's fascinating because if she was staring directly into the camera, it would be straight up urban fantasy. And like I can tell that this cover was designed to walk the line between two genres.
Well done. I've been trying to figure out how to do that with my cover artist.
So I'm gonna go, before I send off my little lookbook, I'm gonna go do some alternative history research. Because
yeah,
fuck,
I feel you. Well, and I did that. Remember, we kind of had this conversation when I was thinking of relaunching, before I relaunched, because I wanted the covers to look more urban fantasy, but I didn't want to use stock photography. So I copied the poses. Like I went in and I was like, okay, what poses with more than one person on the cover of urban fantasy do I like? Mm-hmm. And then I went and I was like, okay, most of them have an urban background. So those are the components that I took, and I told my cover artist, these are the things that we need, and then the rest of it, I just was like, and we're going to do superheroes on the cover.
Franklin, does your story follow one particular person, or does it kind of bounce around?
It follows one because they're first person. It's technically two characters because it's first person, but then my villain I did third person, chapters to fill in the gaps.
Yeah, because just looking at your cover, for me it screams solo hero. Mm-hmm. My books, I think, say solo hero when you first, because you see the first book with one person, but throughout the series you see the different people, which that might have been a mistake. Maybe I should have done a couple.
I don't know, because
in hindsight I analyze.
But your first, I think you do have an ensemble cast. Having read most of your books, you have an ensemble cast, but the first one is really about Conthan, and Conthan is the one on the cover. And so I think you hit it right, because by the time you read the second book, it's about other people too. So I don't think it really matters that you just have one on the other books, honestly.
And I made sure male, female, male, female. The only thing I would have done, if given my option, I would have put a female on the first cover, I think. But I think it would have misrepresented the story.
Yeah.
So in hindsight, I was like, maybe I should have made her more of a dominant character in the first book. So based on this backwards logic of marketing, I'm rewriting my whole series in my head.
I had to stop doing edits for relaunching. I just had to be like, I can't rewrite the whole entire book. It's a good book. I need to just, there is a point where you got to stop and you just got to let it go. And that is so hard for me. I'm saying that as much to myself as anybody, because I still have a hard time with it.
So you guys want to hop into a 20-minute?
Yep. I'm doing revisions on some scenes that actually made it from first to second draft. Ooh. So I probably won't do any new words necessarily, or none that I can track. But yeah, let's do it.
All right.
Yeah. See what happens.
We'll see what happens.
I'll be right back.
How dare you?
I know. I'm so excited about what I am revising though, because it's the midpoint, and I'm like, woo! It's this big scene, and it's like in a theater, and my hero has a new costume, and oh my god, I'm so excited about it.
The things that superhero authors get excited about. Oop, apparently laundry is done.
Laundry, one of the most stressful things right now.
Are you able to do laundry in-house?
No, I have to go somewhere to do it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I would be hand washing stuff right now.
It's come to that probably a few times. It's like you just hang it up and put the oscillating fan on it to simulate wind.
Where I used to live, the laundry was outside my door, so I would literally have to walk out, hang a right, and there was 2 washers, so it was easy. But in today's climate, like, my parents don't have a washing machine. They have to go 40 minutes to a laundromat.
Wow.
And I was like, well, if I were you, I would literally wear every piece of clothing before going.
Basically. Then it's really worth it to go.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, like, I'm doing laundry right now because the sweatpants I'm wearing are my last pair, and we're probably in that spot where you're like, really should change it up. Because I wear kilts to school. It was so cold I was wearing sweatpants, and then I would change when I got to work, and my sweatpants are under my desk at work right now. Damn school.
Oh jeez.
Lesson learned. Plan better for a pandemic.
Ugh, boy. I have one friend, it's like a longtime friend, and her dad, I remember her saying like 5 years ago, I feel like, that her dad was deciding to make like a bunker or something, like a fallout shelter type thing, because he was watching all those like prepper shows.
Oh yeah.
And she thought he was so happy. And I'm like, he probably had everything that you need by now. Like, not so dopey now. Ah, is it?
And I kind of wonder, like, I always made the joke that I was going to do it. And, like, I have, like, a bug-out bag in my car. Like, there's a tent, there's shovel, axe. Like, it looks like I'm going to go on the lam.
Or you're going to bury a body.
What do you mean?
And then just in case.
Like a shovel?
Well,
I don't know. I hear shovel in the trunk, and I'm like, oh, you're burying a body. I don't know why I think like that.
In the northern reaches of Maine, you travel with a buck knife under your driver's seat and a tarp in your trunk, because you know what? You might find dinner.
I love it.
I have gutted a deer on the side of the road more than once.
Wait, seriously?
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
So Franklin, you might be the only person who understands this. Did you have to take hunter safety in school?
If I did, I don't really remember. Like, it wasn't like official.
So my freshman health class, we did sex awareness, we did drug and alcohol safety, we did personal health, and we did hunter safety, and we all got hunting permits.
Whoa. Yeah, no, I have no experience with that. Like, that's incredible.
And people are like, no, you couldn't possibly. That's how people eat up there.
Yeah. And the deer are everywhere when you're driving, like certain times of the year. It's like you have to really be paying attention.
In that part of Maine, they don't have a natural predator, so like
Oh.
So wherever.
if you let's say like you accidentally, drank and drove and hit a tree, just say it was a deer. They don't even question it on the insurance.
Oh my God.
Not
Do you have
not that I know anyone who's ever done that. I've never
I
done
was just gonna ask. It was so specific.
Yeah. I have to explain to people that growing up where I grew up is unlike the rest of the world. Like, we truly play by rules that no one else would understand. Like, oh, why isn't Chris here in school today? Oh, he's part of the potato pickers and he'll be gone for a week. Or my entire history class is gone one day because they're all blueberry raking. Or we in 8th grade signed up for winter survival in a blizzard we were required to survive.
It's actually kind of cool. Like, I almost think more people need to experience that as a teenager. I don't know. I think that would be really good for a lot of people.
I still to this day give my dad crap because he nicked the intestines while dressing a deer and spoiled the meat.
No.
Yep.
I would not.
Dog food.
My only like nature experience as a kid was going fishing with my grandfather, and he was the guy. He was like, "No, you catch your own bait." And he had a cooler full of beer. And at the end of the fishing trip, the cooler of beer was empty, and you put the fish in the cooler where the beer was. It's just kind of how you did. And so, but I'm just I'm his little girl with pigtails, little granddaughter. And I'm like, what are we going to do first? He's like, well, we're going to catch crawdads. And I thought, oh my God, this is exciting. So I caught a crawdad and I freaked out. They're ugly. I don't know if you've ever seen a crawdad. Oh, yeah. They're like aliens. They look disgusting. And I was not expecting that. So I started screaming and I dropped my pole and he's like, no. He goes and gets the crawdad and he's like, all right, I'm catching the bait from now on.
I will say I did go deer hunting quite a bit. I never actually shot a deer. I hit several with cars, and that's how I know this.
Yes.
It's what you do. But the idea of fishing, the hook, my babysitter when I was younger got the hook stuck here.
No.
And ever since then, like, I have nightmares about like when you go to cast it, it like snags you in the back or so fishing is off limits. I
love fishing.
I will chase an animal through the woods and beat it to death with my bare hands, but I will not go fishing.
I think it's kind of soothing. Like my brother who he has ADHD. We didn't really know what that was when we were growing up, but he couldn't fish to save his life because he couldn't sit still. He was like talking, jumping around, and my grandfather's like, "You're scaring the fish." But for me, it was like I could sit there for hours and not do anything but look at the water. I loved it. You're like, no, thanks.
It's so well, I guess if you like being outside and it's like peaceful.
It's very peaceful.
Like we did ice fishing. For some reason that's a little bit different.
You like things with like a dangerous edge, I think. Like if there's no danger, you're like, nah.
The only danger is if you don't hold on to the auger tight enough, it will fly out and hit you, and then you'll have to go to the hospital. That I know from experience.
Oh no.
Oh my God. All I can think of with ice fishing is I will fall through that lake. I'll be the one person that's like steps in the wrong spot and down I go.
The ice is like 3 to 4 feet thick. And
it's supposed to be
on the ice, you drive your truck out on the ice if you wanted to be lazy. And so you're out there,
No.
and all of a sudden you would just hear boom, and someone was putting dynamite into the ice to blow a hole because they didn't have an auger. And when they start doing that, you're like, we got to take the truck back because if the ice cracks, you're screwed.
Oh my
That's
God.
terrible. No.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. I grew up in a place where there was one cop for like 40 square miles. So our what are they called? Game wardens have more authority than the chief of police.
That actually makes sense with what you're describing.
Um, now I live like 15 minutes from a mall, from 2 malls.
That's quite the culture shock.
My
Are we-
high school that I teach at has more people in the school than my entire school district growing up.
Holy
Like
crap.
all people.
Oh my God. Should we sprint?
Yeah, kind of late. Oops. Okay, be back in a
All
little
right.
bit.
Okay, bye.
Let's see if I can set up the next sprint before they get all crazy about it. Tammy's on a mission.
Who's Tammy?
Tammy Veldura. She's one of the people. Actually, I don't know who
I
she
know
is.
that name, actually. The last name sounds really familiar.
She's given us a 9-minute break, and she's referring to it as a break.
Go stretch.
I do have to admit, like, I don't stretch as much as I should while writing.
Yeah. I need to do more yoga, actually. I used to do it on the regular, and then I got sick, and then all this happened, and I fell out of practice.
I was doing Tai Chi when all of this started. I did it for years, and then I was like, okay, let's start doing it again. It's actually an awesome workout.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I need to get back into doing it. I tried yoga. I lasted literally one session. Fat people do not move like that. Like, okay, we're gonna go from this position into this position and work on our flow. And I'm thinking, like, flow, like my whole body is trembling and I want to cry.
You might have done one that was too hard.
It was the beginner one. Like,
I love
4 positions, and I mean 2 of them were like super basic positions, but
okay.
even trying to where you're on your hands and feet and you kind of crawl back so you're at an upside down like a A.
Downward facing dog, yeah.
Yeah. I am a large man. For me to be able to do that, I could bench press you one-handed. Like,
it does take some upper body strength. And what's interesting is I found out I was probably a year into practicing yoga regularly. This is before I had kids. And I found out that downward facing dog is actually supposed to be a resting pose. It's not a pose that is supposed to strain you in any way if you're in it correctly. And I was like, then I am doing it wrong.
yeah.
But you're right. It does take upper body strength. Absolutely.
And like, I'm a big guy to begin with. So my lower body, like my legs, I can almost lift. I think I maxed out at 1,800 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I can lift a car off its wheels.
Wow.
My upper body, if you ask me to do a pull-up, I'm just going to die now.
You know, you could start with cat and cow. That's actually a really good pose for authors. It stretches your torso and your back and your shoulder muscles. It's one of my favorites.
Well, and I think that's kind of what I wanted to get out of yoga, was not so much the physical aspect, but like the stretch pieces to it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a stretch in Tai Chi called the snake and whip, which stretches every muscle in your body. So it's kind of your lazy one stretch does all.
That's nice.
And you know me.
I love yoga with Adrienne online. She has, I mean, so many different types of practices. Some of them 10 minutes, some of them an hour. And the one I did yesterday, she's like, this is just for you if you're feeling like you need a big hug. So it's a big hug yoga. And it was so simple and it was so relaxing and there was no difficult poses. It was just straight up stretching. I loved it yesterday. Half the time her dog is there just laying next to her as she does her yoga. It's wonderful.
Yeah, it's really just one of those, like, you sit in a chair for so long.
Yeah.
That, like, like your knees are always bent at this particular angle, or
Yep.
I notice
Yep.
that when my chair is my like hydraulic lift chair is off by a little bit, because then you get like your legs are either up a little bit too much from what you're normally used to, and I'm like, oh no, my knees, no.
well, and I will change the hydraulic on my chair just to give my knees a different angle for a little bit, and then go back and start it again.
Yep.
But as far as like writing goes, like I always like, I have no problem with any of the hand stretch and the arm stretch or even the shoulder,
Oh, I don't do that enough.
just because, I've been working on a computer since 1999, so like I'm very used to this. But the lower body, I'm like, oh yeah, I've also been sitting in the same position for 8 hours. Someone go make writer yoga where I can just do it at my desk.
Actually, I do have a link. I think I have a link to a session that is basically like yoga for office. And it's yoga with Adrienne. And she's like, you don't need anything special. You don't even need a mat. You could do this in jeans. You could do this in slacks. This is for you if you're at the office and you just want a 10-minute stretch break. I mean, literally, this woman has everything you can imagine on her YouTube channel. And it's free.
And I even thought about getting, I know some people like the standing desk. I can't stand still. Like, I need to be shifting or wiggling, or I can walk all day long, but to stand perfectly still for a long period of time, like that is actually a layer of hell.
Yeah, it gives you it makes you feel anxious.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I can't write. Yeah. I can't write while standing. I've tried, doesn't work, but I can do admin stuff. Like I could do, like if I'm doing ads type of stuff, like I have a lift, like a tray that lifts up my computer to a standing position on my desk. So I can stand and do admin stuff like that for 30, 40 minutes. And then I'm like, okay, now I'm just kind of tired of this and I need to sit down, kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how people with walking desks do it, honestly. That would drive me nuts.
I can't chew gum and walk. Like I've actually realized. So like the other day I had a glass with water and I was walking and I went to go try and drink it and I just stopped, drank, and then continued. Like even my brain's like, whoa, too much.
Don't be an overachiever, man. Don't be an overachiever.
But I did think about getting a yoga ball for like one of the desk ones, just because my upper body is so tall that like for me to be sitting properly at the desk, like I slouch down like a good 1.5 feet.
I've noticed you do that a lot. Yeah.
And the problem is, like, my desk should be up here.
You're tall, yeah.
And at the same time, my chair should probably go about 4 inches higher than it does. Like, I'm 6.5 feet. It just doesn't work.
I don't think they make enough office stuff for tall people, honestly. Like chairs don't go up high enough, desks aren't high enough for tall people. And I'm not a tall person. I'm pretty average, but I have a lot of tall friends. And I'm like, how do you function like in these little like desk environments?
Like my knees are at a perfect 90-degree right now. Like, yeah. And it's fine. But occasionally, like I almost want a footstool under my desk. Like, I don't know.
Mm-hmm. You should. Actually, there's a lot of people that say that a small footstool under the desk is actually very good for you, for your posture and your hip health.
I might actually, because I think that would make me sit upright a little bit more.
Mm-hmm, probably. And you can use books. Like people just are like, go get some big books and put them
Yeah,
underneath your
use
feet.
some old crappy encyclopedias or something that are just
Or a
like,
George R.R. Martin books.
Yeah, just one. Just one.
Just one of the Game
Yeah.
of Thrones books. You'll be
yeah,
set.
there's like 3 inches right there.
Especially the last one. Oh my God. My husband was reading it and he got really angry about a plot point and he threw it across the room. And I was like, you could kill somebody. Like, watch out, man.
Like there's a hole in the wall now.
I know, right? Like, how did you were you able to throw that? Like, that's like a really heavy book. I'm just kidding. He's sorry, honey, if you're watching. You're very strong and mighty, and I love you very much. All right, I'm actually going to go. I'm getting a headache, so I'm going to get some Advil and take a break from the computer.
How dare you?
I know, I'm such a slacker. All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
Cool.
See you later. All right, I'll be back in a bit. Time. $364. Damn you. If I wrote as fast as you did, I would have been done last week.
Oh, jeez. I'm like right at the epic battle at the end. I like jumped ahead where I'm like, I'll figure out this small part when I go back. But I'm like, if I don't write this part down now, I'm going to forget what I came up with. And then I'm going to be like, wait.
Now I'm being the slave driver. Take that, everyone. I have so many windows open, I can't keep focus on what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, I have my Discord window minimized as much as it can go, and then my Scrivener window like partially covers it.
I have Explorer open so that I can do research. I have Chrome open for StreamYard. I have Discord open. I guess I can shut that off. And then Scrivener. And I'm carrying on. And I'm talking to Mal Cooper about how, you know, despite the horrificness of COVID, it's actually working out really well for me. Like, don't get me wrong, I definitely feel those days of like, oh man, I wish life was kind of like what it was. But hold on, I can actually, March 11th was the last day that I was at work. So I'm kind of curious to see. Since COVID has started, I have written 94,827 words.
Oh, wow. That's not bad.
And you can see, like, for the first week, it was like, because I was editing something at the time, it was like 100 words, 200 words, and then 5,000 words, 3,000, 3,000, 4, 3, 3, 2. Like, it's been nonstop. So,
yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
Sorry for people enduring the plague, but this has been kind of nice.
They sort of find out what their hobbies are.
The day job is a little bit challenging because it doesn't, like, normally the full day would be like 7 to 2, done. But now it's like here, there, everywhere, little tasks, side tasks. So that's been a little bit challenging, but whatever. I so just want books written.
Yeah. It's like I want at least like 3 books ready to go for the summer to just be like, when June gets here, I'll have stuff to go and do. And I have found my productivity is better now that I'm not posting my lit RPG progress online as I go, because I'm not forced to go chapter by chapter. and I can jump around a little bit.
Um, are you just not doing it anymore, or are you just kind of hiatus?
I'm still doing it, but I'm not like posting my drafts instantly to be like, here's a new chapter.
So where were
Because
you
then
posting it?
I was posting it on it's called Royal Road. It's basically like a fanfiction.net type site
Oh,
where
okay.
it's got like a pretty like big mishmash of stuff, but I was getting my first one I did like chapter at a time and got feedback, but then like when I went back and edited, I took everything down and then I like angered a bunch of people that were like halfway through reading. And I'm
Oh.
like, I'm sorry, it's totally different now.
So I do my serial and I keep thinking I'm already writing it. So I keep thinking like maybe I should be posting on Wattpad just for the maybe of getting more readers. Um,
Yeah, I tried Wattpad a little bit, but I didn't like, I don't know, I didn't write. It's very like very specific things that like get tons of attention over there.
and I'm more than happy to produce content if someone wants to absorb it, but I'm not willing to spend 6 months of dedicating my life to networking on a platform just to get 5 readers.
Yeah, like I got it like this site keeps track of like how many people can favorite your story. They can get updates emailed to them when I post. But like some people are very harsh and I don't really like when I'm on a good streak and then I post one chapter that angers everybody and it's like you're clearly at like either the midpoint of your quote quote book you're working on, but the readers don't look at it like that. They look at it as just a continuous ongoing story, and then they'll just like downvote it and be like, "This was terrible. I'm not reading this ever again." And it's like this is the midpoint where my main character is like struggling, and it's gonna go up from here to the finale. But you like,
So they almost kind of want it as like episodic instead of.
yeah, there are some very long running stories on there, and they have been collected into books, like ebooks and stuff, and published. But it's like, how long did they write to get to that point before they started like collecting it and like pretending this is the end of the first book? So I don't
Yeah,
know.
the way my serial is going is I had an ultimate destination in mind, but now I'm having to kind of rethink it so that I could have a product. But I'm currently writing it in first person, and I'm thinking I might want to redo it in third person because I think I could describe more world and I might be able to bring in another point of view.
Mhm.
Um, so, but it would give me the perfect framework for a novel.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know if I could write it super quick, but
Yeah, switching from first to third or the other way around is so time consuming.
well, and I originally I was like I did it for a couple paragraphs just to see like is it easy to convert from first to third, and then I was like no, I think it would just be easier to rewrite it and treat it as a fresh draft.
Yeah, it's a different type of flow.
All right, am I actually in this print? Yep. Let me.
Here we go.
I keep forgetting to update the banner. All right. Whew. Today is slow riding.
Here we go.
$2.56.
Here we go. 808. It's really weird. My chapters used to be like between like 1,500 words to maybe like 2,000, and now that I'm on like a few books in, it's like, oh, the chapters are like 2,500 words.
Yeah, I in the superhero series I did because each chapter could hold 3 or 4 scenes. It started with them being like 2,000 words, and by the end they were super bloated with like 5,000 words. Which is why I really wanted to focus on one point of view character this time around.
Yeah.
And in the middle, I'm emailing my students. Technically not on the clock, but so yesterday I'm currently teaching a young adult fiction class, and they submitted their first like opening scene type of thing, and so I have to go through and give them critiques and feedback, and that has been rewarding but daunting because there's a handful of them that are already published and they kind of know what they're doing, and then there's others who this is their first, like they're working towards their first novel. And I forgot, in young adult writing, it's very common to have first person present tense, and whew, it is my least favorite thing in the world, and it is so.
It's because they all read The Hunger Games.
It's and several of them have cited The Hunger Games as their inspiration. So I read like the first 2 chapters of The Hunger Game, and I was like, nope. So this has been definitely a challenge for me as a professor, being like, okay, I taught another class 2 semesters ago, and there was a lot of romance authors in there, and they were writing romance in first person present, and it was the most jarring, uncomfortable thing to read. And I was like, here are the top 100 authors in romance right now, and not one of them is writing this. You might want to look at what's selling versus what you think is going to be a literary breakthrough.
It's really hard because I wrote some stuff in present tense for the tension of it, but I always slip into past tense, so I have to and it was not worth it. It's like, what is this trend? My brain doesn't like this.
Because you said you write first person and then you mix in third.
Yeah, I did first person for my hero, and then I did third person for the villain.
Interesting.
Yeah. But now this next one, I'm doing all third person for the whole thing.
Do your readers ever give you crap for switching?
Nobody did, and I think it was just because I put my first chapter was usually a villain chapter, so it was kind of acted as like a prologue, and then I would jump into first person with like a recap of like, here we're in my hero's head. You may remember this happened to me last month. Da, 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 da. And then I was like, okay. And then I would just like drop in a villain scene when something like developed. You have to like lead up to it, kind of like, I don't know. Transitions were like, I had to think about them.
That's what I kind of liked about Dan Brown. His villain chapters were always like ultra masked, like mystery, like you could see the villain doing something villainous, but it had no bearing on the actual story, and it would just serve to remind the reader like horrible things are coming.
Yep.
So I'm thinking that might be one of the things that I want to add when I go back and do the rewrite, is because I have a perfect, like, brainless villain who just does bad things, and doesn't have the ability to give away plot. So I think that that might be a way to dial up my tension a little.
Yeah. It's nice to have stuff that the reader knows, but the heroes do not know.
And that's been kind of the struggle of doing first person, is you wind up making the hero ask questions like, could this possibly mean the killer is out looking for me? And you're like, that doesn't really raise the tension. It's just
Yeah.
Fiction.
You got to sneak in stuff like they saw a news story, or like other characters are talking about this, and then they like connect the dots.
I so use the news story. On the radio, like they keep announcing a killer in the streets of New York, and then later on it's during World War II, and the fact that there's a killer that makes the above the fold over the war effort like really stands out as so I actually think my first book, I did a really good job with it, but I think I could take it over the edge with like micro scenes of my villain.
Yeah. I like it because then it gives you a chance to plan stuff out ahead of time that your hero is going to like be shocked by, but your readers are going to be like, no, don't do this. And it's like,
yeah, it's almost kind of like, oh, if you open that door, you're just going to describe what's on the other side. But if the reader knows that the bad guy is waiting,
mm-hmm.
yeah, I think I'm going to have to definitely play with that. I think that might be what I'm missing in the grand scheme.
And if they don't work or you don't like them, you can just lift them out, and it doesn't really affect. It won't, like, you won't have to rewrite everything for the rest of the chapters.
And I do. I started this in my last book. In my last series, there's two timelines, and the previous like the early timeline, it moves along with the books, and as you get to the fourth book, that previous timeline, something happens, and you see how it all built up to lead to the current timeline. Whereas in this book, I'm just doing blatant flashbacks. Not like, they give emotional depth, but not the intricacy that I did last time. It was too hard.
Yeah.
I don't think my reader was quite as thrilled as I was.
Ugh.
Literary genius.
Like, come on, can we move this forward? Why are you showing me this stuff in the past? Because I like it.
I promise it pays off. Just read 3 more books.
Oh boy, that was the one thing because I did listen to Dan Brown's like master class, and he does a lot of like make sure you keep track of what you set up so you can pay it off. And I was like, oh yeah, sometimes I do not do that, and that's when I find stuff that I just forgot about.
Well, and that was the one thing that I liked about being able, I pulled my books from my publisher and I republished them, but then I had a chance, I finished the story. Now I had a chance to go back and all of them line everything up exactly the way that I wanted them to. And
Mhm.
there were a lot of things that I was like, oh, well, there was no reward for that. Sorry. I
Yeah.
I made a character schizophrenic at the beginning, and then by the end she's fine. Don't ask. It's
It's like
superhero though.
you're gonna have like a little like I started making like a little separate page in my document to just copy and paste like I started this. Make sure that this goes somewhere so I can just look at it and be like, oh yeah, I forgot about that totally. I planted that object there and then I totally forgot about it.
And I have secret events that happen in book 1 that greatly impact book 3. And I know like when I'm done, it'll be this nice thread that goes through them. But right now, it's more like splatter of random that splatter paid off, but not really. Don't worry, reader. Editing.
Don't worry. That's kind of like the experience I had reading like the fifth Harry Potter book where she puts in all those weird dream sequences where you're like, where is this going? This better be going somewhere. And then you get to the very end and it's like, oh, that's where it's going. Okay. Seems so random flashes of images.
Well, it almost kind of feels like I didn't know how else to put this in, so here we are right now.
Well, that's kind of the nice thing about reading a novel is that you can play with time and all that stuff, and like the reader is kind of like open minded, hopefully.
And did you watch Westworld?
Yes.
So my book, the closest thing I can describe to it as far as the timeline playing is Westworld. Like, bear with it. It pays off. It pays
Mhm.
off significantly. But in the meantime, you have to be okay being a little jarred.
Yeah.
And in the reading, I think it did better. The audiobook, I think it's a little like you don't get visual cues.
Mhm.
So when she says the date, like if you sneezed, you completely miss like, oh, this is a past chapter.
Yeah.
So I think if I was completely given my druthers, like I would go back and maybe change the font even or some more significant cue. But damn Kindle.
Yeah.
All right. Late as always. Gonna hop into this one.
Here we go.
Miranda, you're slacking on your duties. What did I get? 335 that time.
Nice.
I'm at, what am I at? 1618 for the day.
Ooh. Not a bad chunk of words.
Mallory's like 90 words ahead of me. And you are 1,500 words above everyone else.
Then it's like, oh, I stopped for the day, and then everyone just keeps going, and then I'm like, yep, you guys did like 2,000 more words than me in the end.
I was gonna hop back on last night and meet up with Krista, but she didn't get back in time, and then I realized I have like one cocktail worth of tequila and one cocktail worth of vodka and nothing else.
Oh boy.
That
would be really strong.
I have some whiskey, which I guess would actually work because my character drinks whiskey, but I, however, do not.
It's something that you either love or you do not. I don't think it's a very like, oh, I'll do it.
And sometimes it smells great and I get like false sense of security and I'm like, ooh, this will be good. Oh, no, wrong life choices.
Yeah. I have to mix whiskey with something to make it like bearable for me.
In Scotland, they cut it with water.
Oh, weird.
I always heard like you only put in one ice cube because you don't want the water to, do whatever. But over there, when you get a glass of whiskey, it comes with like a little picture of water, and you can add water to it.
Oh.
So, I guess if the Scots are drinking whiskey that way, it must be the right way.
Yep. They know things.
Probably otherwise they would be drunk within like the first 10 minutes.
Oh boy. Yeah. That's why they have such a high tolerance.
Oh, they drink like champs. I'm not. It's hard to believe that there's any Scottish in my blood with that one.
I get like 2 drinks and then I'm like, this is it. It's going to be all downhill from here.
But I definitely think Thursdays we're going to start doing an evening write-in. I think it's just going to be more entertaining, I guess.
I'll have to get a bottle of something just to keep on the shelf, so I have something like specific.
Yeah. So last night I was like, you know what I really think would be good is some Jack and Coke. Not really good for my book, like nothing related, but I was like, I could see my character having that. And I was like, where's the rum? Dating a Scot means you have to take inventory of the alcohol in your house frequently because he managed to empty me out.
Oh boy.
So I have to go to the liquor store before next Thursday.
Yep. This cabinet isn't even a cabinet anymore. Ooh. Japanese whiskey.
I'm kind of intrigued. The eggnog I could do without. That's eggnog freaks me out. Okay, I think this is gonna because what do we got? 5 minutes? Okay. This will probably be my last write-in, and we'll see if I can break 2,000.
Coolness. Yeah, this will be my final one before I have my like wrap up for the day video conference to be like, how much stuff have we copied over? Yeah, we made progress.
I'm getting a lot of student emails today. I'm glad to see they're doing their work. Of course, the assignment was due like a couple hours ago, but I'm not going to judge them. At least not much.
I never wanted to do school from home, so I commend them for having the attention span to do it.
Well, and you know, like all those rites of passage that come with being a student, all of that's been taken away from them. So like now it's just suffer through it.
Yeah.
And we're not even sure how long the seniors have to go. We don't know what the finals are going to look like. Like we don't know anything at this point because we haven't been given directions from the federal level, the state level. Like, so we're on the front lines trying to just keep it together.
Mm-hmm. You can all do a Zoom prom.
So they were talking about doing a virtual graduation, which they not only voted so low down, like people were like, the animosity towards that idea was overwhelming. And then they're talking about doing like a drive-in. So like kids and parents will show up in like the car and they'll do something that way. And it'll be like, you know, like an old movie drive-in, except it's graduation. The problem with that is we have 500 students plus so like, do you get like one car per graduate? Like, and I don't know where they think this is happening. Like that's.
Yeah, where is there a parking lot big enough for that?
We would have to go to like the Natick Mall and like take over a part of this parking lot or something, because we definitely don't have anything that big in the town.
No. Oh boy.
But like I commend them for at least like entertaining these interesting out of the box ideas. It just none of them are good, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm. There's a reason why they always like rent out a giant like sports complex for graduations.
Well, my school has talked about in the past doing it at like Gillette Stadium, because that's where we do our prom. We do it in like one of like the, I guess it's kind of like a private viewing box. There's a bar, there's it's an event hall at Gillette. But it's cool because you can see out onto the field and everything. But like, okay, like I just feel like nothing is good. Just mail me a diploma and let me be done.
I'll hang it on the wall. It's where it's going to go anyway.
I don't even have a diploma.
I have mine, but it's tucked away in like a file box because I'm afraid to get it destroyed.
I have my I don't have my high school diploma. I don't have my undergrad diploma, but I do have my graduate school diploma. The rest of them, I was just kind of like, oh well. My parents were really mad because I refused to walk during my undergrad graduation.
Ugh.
Just mail me the paper and let's be done with it.
Oh.
All right, one more sprint to go. Oh,
Here we go.
$4.53. That's my personal best for today.
Nice. Oh, did I not join?
Looks like you didn't.
Why is it not?
You did the Sprint WC instead of Sprint Join.
Oh, wow. That's okay.
So you can just do an event update.
I got 685.
Ooh, Jill is beating you. Number
if you do event update, do you update your total for the day?
Total for the day.
I got to do math. Bum 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 bum. 3540. 685. There we go. I made it to like a denouement spot, so I feel like accomplished now.
Let's see where you fall. Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, you're like almost twice above everyone else. I got 2,071, and I'm in third place, and Mallory's like 30 words behind me, so that won't last long. The writing's gotten competitive.
Oh boy. I feel like I relate to Jill being like, what am I doing? No, I'm not typing in the right things anytime now.
I screw it up every time. I sprint joint all the time, and I never notice when the bot says, what are you trying to do?
Yeah, mine keeps trying to autocorrect to the word spring, and I'm like, no.
I can't do that, Hal.
Like, really?
All right, I think I need to go get some food.
Yeah, I gotta go walk around.
Yeah, I started moving the chair up and down to give my knees some bend.
Nice. To remind them what it's like.
Well, and the sun keeps poking out for a second and then going away, so it looks like it might be okay to go for a little walk.
Yeah, it isn't raining as bad as it was earlier. It's like it's really like died off.
And last time I looked at the weather, it was like, oh, there's going to be more rain. Oh, and more rain. And what do you know? More rain. Oh, actually, since yesterday, it's now sunny, partly sunny, partly sunny, partly sunny, cloudy, partly sunny, rain.
Yeah.
Apparently someone told Mother Nature it's May.
Yeah, it changes way too quick. It's like, oh. The days where they're like, it's going to be pouring out and you decide not to go do anything. It's like, oh no, today's the day that it actually is sunny out. It changed overnight. I would take 70 degrees right now. That would be lovely.
I think we're at 64 right now, which means I'm going to have to go put on some shorts to go for a walk.
Whoa. Shorts and flip-flops.
It's not far from the truth. Like this is bathing suit weather.
I'm waiting for flip flop weather just so I have an excuse not to wash socks. Oh boy.
Best thing ever. I love flip flops because I don't like the feel of socks on the top of my feet. Like it freaks me out. So free the toes.
Yes.
All right. I might do a live write tomorrow. I don't actually know. Last weekend I was really bored, so so if you're around, I'll message you.
I will join if I can.
All right. You have a good rest of your day. Go get some partial sunshine.
Yes, you as well.
I'll chat with you later.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye.